Hi again, welcome back to our Read Alouds. I hope you're doing well. It's Mr. Lohn, and today I'm joined by Tenley, my 6-year-old, and one of my 8-year-old twins, Tiernan. And we're going to read a book from the Who Is, What Is, Where Is series, which focuses on some nonfiction topics from around the world. And the one I'm going to share with you today is, what are the Paralympic Games? Okay. It is a humid September evening in 2016. At the Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, more than 70,000 spectators fill the seats for the opening ceremony of the Summer Paralympics. 17 days earlier, the closing ceremony for the Olympics took place here too. The Olympics and the Paralympics both feature summer and winter games. Both are held every 4 years, and thousands of athletes from around the world gather to compete in both sets of games. There's one real difference. At the Paralympics, the athletes have a range of disabilities, any conditions that somehow limit movement or activity. Some swim without arms, race without legs, or run without sight. The opening ceremony begins with a parade of athletes entering the stadium. Teams arrive from more than 160 countries, each led by a flag bearer. Some athletes are in wheelchairs, some have guides, and some wear prosthetics, which are artificial limbs. Speeches are given and music is played. Performers take the stage. Then an announcement is made. Ladies and gentlemen, the Paralympic flame. After a relay across Brazil, the torch arrives. Marcia Mouser receives the torch just as it starts to rain. Water drenches Mouser, who must use a cane to cross the stage. She raises the flame above her head. Suddenly she slips and falls, and the torch drops to the ground. Immediately Mouser gets to her feet. Someone holds out the torch. She takes it smiling. The crowd roars with approval, and so do the other athletes. They understand that when you fall, you just get up again. Now Marcia delivers the torch to the next in line. The cauldron is lit. Fireworks explode. Let the games begin. The Paralympics began with one doctor's vision. He believed that paraplegics, people who can't move their legs or lower body, could lead full, useful lives. Many other doctors at the time didn't think they could improve the health or well-being of people in wheelchairs, so they didn't even try. During the years after World War II, Dr. Ludwig Guttmann saw hospitals filled with wounded soldiers, many with spinal cord injuries. At the Stoke Mandeville Hospital in England, Guttmann created workshops and classes designed to get the patients moving. One afternoon, Guttmann jumped in a wheelchair to join patients hitting a puck with canes. Why not have team sports too, he thought. Another day, he brought in bows and arrows for archery. Doctors in other hospitals soon adopted Guttmann's program, and that gave Guttmann another idea, to host a sports competition between hospitals. In 1948, the first Stoke Mandeville Games for the paralyzed took place. He chose the date with care, July 29th. It was the same day as the opening ceremony of the Olympics in nearby London. Already, Guttmann had a plan to have Olympics for those with disabilities. Of course, no one would confuse the first Stoke Mandeville Games with the Olympics. There was just one sport, archery, and only 2 teams. 14 men and 2 women competed. But the games were such a success that Guttmann decided to hold them every year. Each year, more events were added. Soon there were wheelchair races on the track and swimmers in the pool. In 1952, the games welcomed a team from another country, the Netherlands. And by the time the United States sent a group in 1955, there were 17 other countries competing. The International Olympic Committee took notice. The next year, it gave Guttmann's Stoke Mandeville Games an award for outstanding Olympic ideals. Years passed, and the games added a flag, a parade of athletes, and an opening day relay. Instead of a torch, runners who traveled by car and wheelchair carried a scroll stating the Paralympic mission: to unite paralyzed men and women from all parts of the world, to give hope and inspiration to thousands of paralyzed people. In the very first relay in 1958, Dick Thompson brought the scroll home to Stoke Mandeville. At the games, Thompson was already a star. At the age of 17, he had broken his back in a climbing accident. He wound up paralyzed from the chest down. 1 year later, in 1950, he won the javelin event, a throwing contest. The javelin is a long spear, and in the non-disabled sport, a thrower gets a running start. But wheelchair throwers are seated and remain at a standstill, using only their shoulder strength and not momentum to throw the javelin. Thompson's first winning throw was 46 feet 1 inch. At one event, Thompson even competed against two non-disabled men, the British javelin and shot put champions. Gutman sat them down in wheelchairs, and Thompson beat them both. Then came 1960. The Olympics had just been held in Rome, and Thompson, along with wheelchair teams from more than 20 countries, headed there too. Gutman's dream was coming true. After all, what better way was there for the Paralympics to be like the Olympics than for it to share the host city? So I hope you look up a little bit of information on the Paralympic Games, the opportunities that they offer. It is a wonderful event, and I hope to see you back for our next read aloud tomorrow. Bye, McGinn.